Miraculous girl. Join me and my dad while we explore subscription boxes, the outdoors, gear and equipment, and other fun things and places. Before we get started, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Ding!
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction, Miraculous Girl, and thank you everyone for joining us again here on Exploring It All. So today we have Grim Workshop, and I got a heads up on this as I usually do. So I do have a little, I thought, you know what, I want to demonstrate a little bit more on these because I show you guys the card and that's about it. And I love these little kits. I know it's crazy, but I do. I like these little kit style things. And I just wanted to show you kind of a couple of things on some of this stuff on how useful it can be. Anyway, so without further ado, let's go ahead and open it up. And like I said, even though I haven't opened mine up, I just got this yesterday. I know what's in it because I'm part of another group and they always give me a heads up. Thank you, Kelly and Sarah. So, I'm using the Bastion Braza. This came in Battle Box many years ago. D2 steel, great knife. And it's really funny, when this came out, and people do consider it still one of the best, and Doc P, and shout outs to Doc P all the time, he's great, was talking about in one of his other videos how D2 steel is no longer, you know, here 6-7 years ago people were like, oh, D2 steel is the best, it's the greatest, and now it's just kind of common and everyone's using it. Anyway, Bastion Braza. So here we go, dump it out. We got our one individual packing peanut here. Laugh about that. Set that aside. We have our card. I will put a shot of this down at the end. I'm going to set this aside here. As you can see, this is all of our goodies. All right, so first up, we have their Grim Workshop business card. And they always do these little cutouts so you can use these as a line wrap or whatever. And I actually have one here that I have wrapped some tape around. I want to say this came out to about 10 yards of tape. And I forget, I got quite a bit of line on here, and I still have room for something else. And if you were to put fishing line or something on here, you could even have more. But it's a great little way to repurpose an item. And I love things that have more than one purpose. And you can throw this in a little kit. And I actually had this one happen to just be sitting out on the counter because I was putting it together. Because I have a bunch of these cards, and I thought I need to start using some of these, or I'm going to end up throwing them away, or I don't know, save up enough of them, mail them back, and they can use them again. But anyway, so and this is like bank line on here, along with the masking tape. So that's the business card that comes in there, and they don't include that as an item. So the first item here is the Bushcraft card, and that is this. And let's open this up. Now, you know, a lot of these do start to sometimes get similar after a while, although there are some that are extremely different. I like these type ones better. And here's the little card. It sometimes gives you a little bit of description on how to use things and stuff. And occasionally they're printing stuff. This one they didn't. So this one has a little knife. A lot of times I like to take these little knives off and kind of sharpen the edge a little bit and then put them back on the card. It makes it easier. One thing that's really neat about these cards, and there's a few other, I mean, you can get knockoff ones on Amazon and stuff, but they have this card retention system where you can take the item off and it's still sticky and you can stick it back on. And that's one thing that's unique to them. And the other is this white backing also peels off, and you can stick this to the lid of your Altoids can on the inside or the outside, or whatever else you might want to stick it to, the inside of a tackle box lid or something like that. So you do have the adhesion to stick the card on, plus the adhesion that holds the items back on. Now, usually you can pry these up, and sometimes I'll use a Swiss Army knife or something like that. Use one of those blades to help. But once you get these off, they usually have a little part that's attached, and this almost feels like it's sharp. It almost does. But I wanted to demo this card out. It didn't quite cut that. Almost. It almost did. Like I said, I do usually like to take these and give them a little edge, because they're just laser cut. So you guys can see that it did kind of score it there. And this is not paper, this is heavier cardstock. So this actually has a little bit of an edge to it. You can probably put a pretty decent edge on here. And then you have a little sawback on the back here, which comes in handy. And like I said, because I got a little heads up on here, you have this little knife in here. You can make a handle for it. And I have a similar card that I used to prep an item for this video. You also have a bunch of fish hooks of different sizes in here. Oop, stuck it on there. You have 4 larger, well, actually 2 large, and it looks like 2 kind of medium and 2 smaller ones. These ones look a hair thinner than the ones over here. I'm sure that they are. So you have those. They're calling these suture needles, but you know what? You could use these for sewing up gear or whatever. So you have that. They have a great line card out there. And really, another little side note, I noticed that they were selling the Grimm Workshop's line cards on the Outdoor Element website. And then you have these 2 arrowheads. Now, a lot of times they include, and you can use this in multiple ways. You could use it as a spear and stuff, but a lot of times they include some sandpaper. This particular one they didn't. And they have a sandpaper kit that you can buy for like $7 or something on their website. But, and you can sand these little nubs off here. And a lot of times, like I said, I tend to use my Victorinox Swiss Army knife on some of these. And I would never go camping without a Swiss Army knife. So there's that. It's just the Boy Scout in me. And again, it's one of those things. One of my first knives, I had my first 2 knives that I remember, A Victorinox Swiss Army knife, and B, a old-timer fixed blade that I had until a few years ago. It was a fixed blade I won in a contest for selling light bulbs. And funny side note, there was a fishing pole and a reel and the fixed blade knife and something else. And I really wanted that fixed blade knife, and I sold my little heart out. We were selling light bulbs, and I got 2nd place. And I was so distraught because I thought, oh, for sure, I'm not going to win that fixed blade knife. But I didn't tell anyone what I wanted, which was a good move on my part, because the #1 winner ended up picking that rod and reel. So I got the fishing knife. Anyway, so these detach, and I kind of filed off a little bit of the nub at the end here. Now, I previously, utilizing another Grimm Workshop tool, there's a little saw blade on the back of this one, which is cool. I used this card right here, and I could have used the Swiss Army knife, but part of the reason I used this saw over the Swiss Army knife saw is because of the thinness of this blade right here. It will make it so that my grooves aren't too big. So I got a dowel. Now, normally you would have this about 36 inches. You guys can't see my hands, but I used a short stick here just to kind of use it for demonstration purposes. I just wanted to show you kind of how this works. So I took this saw blade, but this one would work just as fine. Now these teeth are angled one direction, so it's really only going to saw when you pull one way. Now I did it kind of up against my body when I was doing this, and I probably went too deep because I was using another template, and I probably wouldn't want to go so deep on this because it really only needs to go in about that far. So to make this work right, we're going to use this. Being very careful, I don't want to bust out my little pieces of. And you can do that. And like I said, I used my other Grimm Workshop card to cut this dowel out. I was using a much larger arrowhead when I was fitting this for this video. But anyway, so there you go. That's one of the uses of this card. Now we all know how fishing hooks work and stuff, and you know, I'm always taking my hooks out, my regular hooks, and one of these days I need to use my kit stuff to go out and catch that fish, as opposed to using the regular stuff. And we, in a previous video, and I'll be bringing that up, you guys watch some of our other videos, we also we made an arrow. We did the feathers on the end of it and stuff, and I actually have some arrowheads, natural arrowheads that we were using to make some arrows and stuff. It's just kind of a fun little project. So anyway, but that's generally what it's going to look like. You're going to take and wrap your line. You may want to bend these other little parts down and around a little bit, and lash that on there, and you can sharpen up the edges on this. For if you have a decent strong enough bow, you're not going to need a lot of razor edge on that, because it's going to penetrate. Because one thing I can tell you about, I actually poked myself when I was making this with the end of that other little knife. So next up, we have the dog tag. And this dog tag tool is, it's called the Grimm's Gig dog tag. And again, the dog tag has the same retention system as the other ones, where you can stick the items back on there and they stay on pretty well. I'm sure that eventually it would wear out, but you know, fishing hooks and stuff, how often are you going to really be putting them back? But anyway, so the dog tags come with a silencer and the chains for them. And here, before I take it all apart, you guys can take a look at it here. But you can take this one piece, and then you got your frog gig there, and it's got areas for attachment purposes. Before I cut this all down, it probably would have worked better. But you could even use a much sturdier and bigger stick and drill your holes in it and stuff. And you got this frog gig, and in here you also have a double whammy fish hook there. And a lot of times, if you use one of the other items, one of the other lures and stuff, these work great. And I'm going to use this guitar pick one as an example. And I have a lure card as well, but the way these are designed, you can fit your hook on there. Just stuck myself. And it'll dangle off there, and you got a lure. And they have a few other hooks like this on other cards, where you can utilize them. And they have a colored lure card that's actually pretty cool. So that's another item there. And again, you got another arrowhead here. This would be more of a spearhead style, used on a much bigger stick. So you got that, as well as your broadhead. And again, this all goes back on your little dog tag. Try to get it lined up as best I can. And I stuck myself with a fishing hook. I'm not even fishing. All right. And so you got the silencer here that goes on. For those of you that don't know, dog tag silencers go on. One of my favorite, I don't have it on right now, but one of my favorite Grim Workshop dog tags is the tweezers ones. I love the tweezers on the dog tags. And then you have your small hook, or small chain, toe tag chain, and large chain. So anyway, I thought it would be kind of fun to kind of demo out a couple of these items a little bit more, go into a little bit more detail about them, show what you can do with them. I think it's fun. I like, and it goes back to the Boy Scout of me. I like the little kits and being able to make little kits. I always like those little tins and whatnot. So I think that's kind of fun. Like I said, I just cut this short. You would obviously use a longer dowel and whatnot to make that. Now, another item that comes in this particular one here, or two more items, is the tip cards. So today's tip cards, we have a double overhand stopper knot. And again, I'll try and take some pictures here. And on this side, the Alpine butterfly bend, and this is about putting two sections of line together. So that's this knot tying tip card. So there's that one, and then the other one is how to dress a bird, and it basically tells you about how to dress, which is clean, a wild bird that you've caught for food. Let's see, and it tells you to use the discarded remains as bait. So anyway, this is good for those people that don't know, and I'm one of them because I've never hunted birds. I'm pretty much a fisherman, so I would have to learn on the fly about cleaning wild game. So anyway, so that's a look at Grim Workshop for what month is this? September of 2022. Here I've been trying to remember to do this on some of my subscription reviews and stuff. I just really quickly go over the pricing on this here at the end. The card, the Bushcraft card, is listed at $19.99 for the card, which is pretty much the standard price on the cards now. They were a little bit less, but inflation and everything, they've gone up. And the dog tag is listed at $9.50. So almost $10 for the dog tag. And then the two individual cards here, these are just for that, are $1.85 each, which to me is what it is. But so that's, so you're at $10, $30 to $34 essentially. And that's about what their MSRP value does come in at, usually is around $34. So that's a look, and this subscription costs $20 flat. That includes shipping, tax, whatever. It is $20 a month. And I'll take some still shots here. Again, remember, thank you everyone for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, and remember, be nice to each other. So, it's a little arrowhead. What do you think?
That's cool.
You like that? And look, they just stick. And this just goes right back on the card. So you can save it for later, so to speak. Just stick them right back on there.
Is
you
that
got the
for
little
like
knife.
an arrow?
Yep, that's for an arrow. I just made a short one for the demo, for the video. I thought that would be cool. So I used that before I opened the box. And I actually used, you can use this saw blade right here on the back. And you just pull it through. And make your little notches. Put your arrow in there. Make little notches on the end for the feathers. Make a little arrow. Getting sawdust in there. Isn't that
Little arrow.
cool? Cool, huh?